We have a new intro just for one night only, Richard. One night
Paul,
only.
Paul, listen, I'm loving it. Look, you haven't put that much weight on since you went to Spain. You really haven't. And you need your maracas, mate. You need your maracas. Tommy was talking about maracas yesterday. We all need to get maracas for the next demo.
Yeah, he did talk about maracas. Yeah, I mean, for me, that's rhyming slang, mate. But there you go. How are you, mate? You all right?
Absolutely. Apart from being run over, I'm great, mate.
Was there any damage done to the car?
The vehicle's a write-off. It's in the scrapyard right now. It's done. It's done.
I can imagine. Good evening, everyone. I can see you all piling in. 663 people already, and we're not even into the first 30 seconds.
Paul,
what is going on?
I'm going to predict something, right? I'm going to predict. Hold on. I predict that a guy called Jack is going to tell us that he's going to vote for Nick Tenconi and UKIP at the next election. I'm predicting it right now, Paul. If that doesn't happen in the next 10 minutes, then I'm no good at predicting things.
We'll have to have a look. We'll see if Jack's in the chat and see who he's going to vote for. Good evening, Claire Bear. How are you doing? Lovely to see you. Thank you very much. Now, I've got slow mode on the chat tonight, but they're still pouring in at the rate of knots, so I'll pick them out as best I can. Farty Pants, thank you so much. Richard, hope you reported that incident to Bangor. To Plod. Richard, do we want to start off by giving us a little update on that?
Oh, man. How much of an update do we give? Yeah.
A brief one, because it's only an hour show.
I know. Well, look, I mean, basically what happened was, just so everyone knows, because you wouldn't have seen fully what happened from that video put out yesterday. So we were doing our Friday night protest in Bangor, and we're getting good numbers down there now. We're probably getting over 100 people every week coming down, which is great. And we started walking across the road. Okay, so walking across I was going to say Pelican Crossing, zebra crossing, and obviously cars were stopping, right? And then we kind of walk round a bit and then come back across the road. And this geezer got to the front of the queue, and we're walking across the road, and he starts edging forward onto the zebra crossing. And I'm like, no, that can't happen. He can't just drive into people, because there was old women, pensioners, little kids, just literally walking over the road, right? Protesters, right, with the signs and all the rest of it. And he just starts slowly edging, and then I'm like, no, you can't do this. He literally drove into me, right? I hit the bonnet and went off the left-hand side of the bonnet, my left, his right, and landed on my feet, kind of rolled over the bonnet, Starsky and Hutch style. A 20-stone fat Starsky, rolled over the bonnet, and I'm like, mate, what you doing? You've literally just ran me over, like on a zebra crossing, right? And then there was a bit of a kerfuffle, as you would get. The police obviously blocked the road, stopped him, and that's where we're up to at the minute. That's the story so far.
Thank you, Richard, very much. So I thought you was going to go. I was just going through some of the comments, but you're all right. You're okay, are you?
To be honest with you, I'm sore. My back's sore, shoulders sore, but yeah, I'll live. I'm not. Look, I'm not in hospital. I'm not. Two things. I'm not in hospital. I'm not in a morgue. If I'd have the thing is, Paul, right? If I'd have rolled the other way, if I'd have literally fallen to the right, I would have been under the vehicle. And that's how fine a margin this stuff is, you know. And you know yourself, it's like these people get punched in the face and they flip and die. It's the same with
yeah.
If you're arguing with a car and it goes the wrong way, you're not in a good position, you know. So, but no, I'm fine. And at the end of the day, but it was deliberate. That's the thing. Whatever way you look at it, it was deliberate.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Not good. Right. So we got the humour out of the way to start with. We got the drama out of the way after that. So let's get down to business, because this is going to be a busy one tonight, because oh boy, what a weekend and what a Friday and a Saturday it's turned out to be. We have got so much to get through, Rich, and I've got a list of things that we've got to talk about this evening. Let me get my list, because I'm completely unorganised. I'm getting worse and worse with every show. So let's start off. 365 pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist arrests made today. about bloody time are the police up and down the country, particularly in the Met, finally getting their goddamn act together and putting this lot where they belong, in the back of police vans.
Time will tell, Paul. I mean, the reality is they cannot not arrest these people, because these people are saying we want to be arrested, right? They're wearing their "we support" whatever that group's called, that terrorist group. They're saying they support them, and the police have to arrest them. I mean, they can't not arrest them, right? Because the whole protest is about is it Palestine action? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So that's what it's about. I mean, the thing is, Paul, I mean, what are they trying to achieve? It's not going to make the slightest bit of difference in Israel, right? The Israelis, and I was told this when all this first kicked off, the Israelis are not going to stop until they've destroyed their enemies. And so you can have all the protests, you can do what you want, but you literally are, you're peeing in the wind. It's not going to have any effect.
Here's the thing, Richard, right? And let's put our biases to one side for a moment, because everyone knows that whose side we're on.
Well,
right?
I mean, it's not even a bias for me, Paul. All I'm doing is stating facts.
Yeah, for sure. But what I'm saying is,
Parliament Square in London they're not going to achieve what they're trying to achieve.
No, and let's put our personal feelings to one side for a moment. But do these idiots not realise that all they're doing is alienating people who may be on the fence? They're not really sure. They don't really know much about it. They only see what they see. Do they not realise that all they're doing is making themselves detested by the rest of the nation? I mean, again, their actions today, the violence, the aggravation. I want to also talk about the stand up to racism mob, because they've been at it again over the last couple of days. I've come to the conclusion that this is just a day trip out from the local loony bin with half of them, mate.
It makes no sense, Paul. And I mean, I think what the problem is, we're in a bubble, right? I don't watch mainstream news, right? Well, I'm not saying I don't watch it. I watch it very, very rarely. And then the odd time I'll flick across to ITV News by mistake, or I'll stick Sky News on. I mean, GB News, I know GB News isn't really on our side, but it's kind of as close as we're going to get. So if I'm watching on TV, news on TV, I'm going to watch GB News, right? And then you flick across to Sly News, or you flick across to ITV, and it's just a propaganda piece for Hamas. You know, they're showing all these pictures of devastated buildings, and they're saying, oh, there used to be a hospital here, and there was a school here, and all these people got killed there. And what they're not telling you is that the Hamas have used their own people and their own buildings and their own infrastructure as human shields since 2023. And any other country in the world, right, I believe, would have carpet bombed the Gaza Strip as soon as those attacks had happened, right? I think the States, if that was the States, look what America did. They destroyed two countries as a result of 9/11, right? And this was Israel's 9/11, and they knew exactly where it was. They knew exactly who'd done it. But because of the hostages and because of international pressure, and because Israel has this mindset of minimizing civilian casualties, it's prolonged it. And in a way, it'd have probably just been better if they just hit it with, everything they got at the beginning, got the job done. And, but that's a sort of, it's a very cold way of looking at it, I know. But at the same time, this has gone on for so long. And the hatred against Jewish people and the hatred against Israel has been fueled by the way Hamas and the mainstream media propaganda machine, and people like Macron and Starmer and that Clampett that used to be the chairman of the Bank of England, Carney, all of them recognizing this Palestine. What is the Palestinian state that they're recognizing, Paul? Because at the minute, all I can see is a whole lot of rubble with terrorists running the show. Now, you can't call that a state, and you can't recognize it, and you can't give it any credibility. What they did on September, was it October? October the 7th, 2023. What they did was absolutely abhorrent and disgusting. And they have to pay a price for that. They have to pay a price. You can't get away with going in and murdering thousands of innocent Jewish people for nothing. You can't get away with that. So they had to pay a price. They didn't just, we saw the videos. They didn't just kill them. They did all sorts of them. I'm not going to go into it. But so to me, people have forgotten what this is about. They've forgotten that there was an attempted genocide. And I was saying to someone yesterday, if the if Hamas had have timed this right in their eyes, they'd have had Hezbollah coming in from the north with a massive bombardment and a ground invasion. They'd have had the Houthis hitting them at the same time with missiles, and the Iranians hitting them with ballistic missiles and drones. And that was what the idea was, to totally overwhelm everything in Israel, in the Israeli defense system. And we're actually very lucky we're sitting here, and there is actually any Israel or the Jewish people in Israel left, because if the Hamas, Hezbollah, the Iranians and the Houthis had managed to coordinate everything properly for them, they could well have overwhelmed the system. And that's the scary thing. Yeah. So all of this, pearl clutching and people reaching for the smelling salts, when we say, well, actually, Israel's got a right to self-defense and so on and so forth, it's just so ridiculous. And
it's out and out for me, Richard. It's out and out. It's out and out anti-Semitism. At the end of the day, they just hate the Jews. This isn't even about that. This is about their hatred of Jews. And at the end of the day, I mean, taking that on to the Stand Up to Racism mob, I've written a couple of things down here. I mean, the irony and the sickening irony, and I'm so sick to the hind teeth of listening to their bullshit.
Yep.
Nazi scum off our streets, fascist scum off our streets. They're the ones that are aligned with bloody Adolf Hitler and what the Nazis wanted to do in the 1930s and 1940s. There's only one bunch of Nazis on evidence at these demonstrations, and they're all the smelly, unwashed lot with blue and pink hair that don't know if they're men or women. And mate, they're doing my freaking head in. Do you know what I want someone to say to them when they keep going on about, what is the other one? Say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. My answer to them idiots would be this. When you left your home today, did you lock your front door?
Yeah.
And if you did, why did you lock your front door? You locked your front door because you don't want strangers walking in willy-nilly and taking whatever they fancy.
Yep, totally.
When you go home tonight, and you go to bed, will you lock your front door?
Exactly.
Yes, you lock your front door. When you leave, you lock it again when you come home and go to bed, and you do that to keep the unwanted out and to keep your children safe. What part of that do these absolute morons not recognise? And I'm just coming to the conclusion, mate, that they're all start raving bonkers.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Paul. I mean, they're complete nutcases. I mean, I think the problem you got, people don't realise who Stand Up to Racism are, right? And if you look at who actually, now this was a few years ago, but last time I checked, you had obviously Diane Abbott and people like that, but you had the Socialist Workers' Party massively involved with Stand Up to Racism.
Yeah.
Not sure if they still are, but they were, right? Now, if anyone doesn't know who the Socialist Workers' Party are, they're as far left as Adolf Hitler was to the right. They're complete and utter nutcases, right? So that they're extremists. And you also had the Muslim Council of Britain were heavily involved in Stand Up to Racism. So you're dealing with two extremist groups who are setting up this thing, and of course it's very clever marketing, Paul. And you've got to take your hat off to them, because nobody can argue, because racism is the new unforgivable sin. Nobody can argue when you say stand up to racism, because we're all going to, oh yeah, we stand up to racism as well, right? Yeah. So the name is so clever, but they're very sinister, they're very evil, and I think we've got to expose them for what they are. And again, it brings you on to the likes of Hope Not Hate and all these other groups, or Hate Without Hope, as I call them. And the problem is, Paul, these are the people who are in power now. Yeah. Richard Harmer, whatever his name is. He's Harmer. You should call him Harmer, not Hermer, because he's harming everybody. Yeah. Jerry Adams' lawyer. I saw that dreadful woman from Navarra Media doing an interview with Jerry Adams as if he was Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Nelson Mandela was a terrorist as well. That's another story. But the reality is, this stuff is Orwellian. It's crazy. They're coming after our freedom of speech. And we literally have 4 years to sort this out, Paul.
Probably like most of you guys at home, I sit there, I'm watching video after video. I'm listening to everything I can watch. And this week, I mean, the left have always done my nutting. I've got
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I've never been able to get them.
No, me too.
I just don't understand their ethos, their way of life, their everything they believe in is just, by the way, let's not forget what the Nazis party was called.
The National Socialist Party.
National Socialist Party, right? So all this Nazi scumlark, I mean, I am sick to death of it. And it's getting to the point where I think the police should actually stop that. Because accusing of someone of being a Nazi is just about as low as it gets. And the irony of them doing that whilst clearly despising and wanting to wipe every Jew off the face of the earth is abhorrent in itself.
In one of the police liaison meetings we had when me and Tommy first started talking to the police about how to do these demos peacefully, I said, look, we have a lot of Jewish people come to our protests, right? And we do. We've a lot of my Jewish friends come to the protests. A lot of them would have brought the Israeli flags. And I said, when you are Jewish and somebody calls you a Nazi, that causes a massive amount of alarm and distress.
Yeah.
And under the new hate speech regime, if you cause someone alarm and distress, well, then you're guilty of a hate crime, right? And I said to the police, says, so we don't need to. They must not only in they can be in line of sight, the lefties, but they cannot be in earshot, because we can't have our people, our Jewish friends that are coming to our demonstrations, our events, feeling intimidated, getting alarmed and distressed. I mean, I remember one of the Corbyns, I don't think it was Jeremy, I think it was the other one, the mad physicist one. Piers came to the St. George's Day event, and there was two Jewish friends of mine, and these are good, reputable businessmen, and in their 70s, and they were going to kill him. They were going to beat him to a pulp, So we had to extract Pierce for his own safety from the crowd. But that's how offended they are by these extreme leftists that are backing the jihadists, backing the destruction of Israel. If you're supporting Palestine right now, you aren't supporting a free Palestine. What you are supporting is a supremacist organization that wants to kill every single Jew in Israel and actually every single Jew throughout the world, because that's in their charter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And us next.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the other thing, Paul. We've got to remember that Hamas is the Muslim Brotherhood in the Gaza Strip. Now, that's not me making up. That's what they say. We are the Muslim Brotherhood in the Gaza Strip. So this is how convoluted it is. We've got mass amount of Muslim Brotherhood people in the UK. A lot of them are behind the organisation of these demonstrations. And these stupid, middle-aged white lefties, most of them probably retired school teachers, university lecturers. You can just imagine some of them teaching art and history in the schools, 5 and 10 years ago. The other ones have probably had cushy legal jobs or civil service jobs, never done a proper day's work in their lives. And they're going out there dressed in the Palestinian headgear and identifying as
half of them get that wrong, but go on.
They can't even put them on right, can they? I mean, but it's embarrassing. And then, of course, the other thing you've got genuine Islamists there who really do want to destroy Israel and kill every single Jew, and they're going to the demos as well. And the police for 2 years have just clapped them on. Come on, lads. Come on, lads. Anyone who stands against them, get nicked.
Richard, I've been to Dachau, right?
Yeah.
I've been there, right? I used to go to Munich a lot, and I needed to go to a concentration camp to see and feel for myself. I'm a Church of England. I'm not Jewish.
Yeah.
Right. But I went to that concentration camp for two reasons. One is I wanted to be respectful, and I think everyone should do that, pay a visit. And I can't tell you the weirdness of the experience and the emotion that you can still feel there.
Yeah.
You can't describe it. And these people talking about, do you not care about the genocide of women and children? Of course, all good humans care about the death of women and children.
Can I just interrupt there, Paul?
Go on.
Let's not play their game.
No, I'm not going to. I was going to say I haven't finished.
I know. But what I want to say is what's happening in the Gaza Strip is not a genocide.
Exactly.
It is not a genocide. Sorry, go on. I just want to say that because I think it's really important that these people understand.
No, the genocide. When I used the word genocide, I was talking about the Jewish people.
In
the 1940s.
Sure.
Now, here's the deal. None of us like to see women and children being killed and murdered. Of course, it's unpleasant. It's terrible. It's shocking. But here's the deal. Here's the bottom line, right? From a ordinary British person's viewpoint. These people are bringing their children up with AK-47s in their hands by the time they're 5, 6, and 7.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
They are destroying their own people. They haven't had an election since, 2016, something like that, right? And Hamas have gone in there. You can't have an election. They are in charge. They are the ones that are stopping the food from getting through to their people. No one else.
Yep.
Right? And at the end of the day, I'm just sick to the hind teeth of. I'm sick of these people, Richard. They're doing my frigging head in.
Totally. I absolutely totally agree with you, Paul. And I mean, the horror story out of this is that they're making themselves the victims when they were the ones that invaded the country and slaughtered people without provocation. You know, things have been fairly peaceful. Between Israel and Gaza, because obviously what the Israelis didn't know, and this is a massive failing that Netanyahu will have to answer for, and I'm a big fan of Netanyahu, but he will have to answer for the massive intelligence failing. And I sometimes do wonder if the Abraham Accords are people are over-egging the pudding, because can you really trust that people that have hated Israel for so many years all of a sudden become the friends of Israel? Do you know what I mean, Paul? Can we actually trust that? And that's Look,
Richard, I try not to get too involved in Middle Eastern politics. And I'll tell you why. Because, look, it's not, first of all, it's not really my business. Secondly, I'm not educated enough to open my mouth too much about it. I know that you're a lot more on it than I am. But what does matter to me is how those politics change things and alter things at home. Now, at the end of the day, we are rapidly becoming a country that is shattered by sectarianism. And that matters to all of us back at home. George, brilliant last night. Love from John and me, us lot from Clacton-on-Sea. George, well done yesterday, mate. Absolutely brilliant, top class. Good luck to you guys down there in Clacton next week and the week after and the week after that. Lovely, nice and peaceful, multicultural crowd, far more multicultural than the other mob across the other side of the road screaming racist. So well done.
Well, Paul, I just want to say something. There's quite a few people on my channel trying to give supers.
Right.
I don't know if we can do anything with that. Can you see them and get them on the screen?
Yeah, John, I can see. Richard, I can see them, and I'll bring them all up.
If you could, mate, if you could bring them up. And again, thank you so much for doing the supers. Paul's in charge of what goes on the screen tonight. So I do appreciate what you're doing.
If they're mine, I'll show them. If they're yours, I won't.
Always a gentleman, Paul. Always a gentleman.
40 pence. Thank you so much. Press charges and get a claim in, my brother in arms. Foxy Lady, thank you so much. Salmond Sophie. Carly Denya has excelled herself on X by suggesting that that far right have no business in Bristol. Yeah, I'm sure the far right. Oh dear, oh dear. Yvonne Flanagan, thank you.
Brilliant. That is look how
fantastic.
Close that is,
wow.
Look how close that is.
Magnificent. Right, let's see if we can get out as close to 30,000 as possible tonight. We've got 2,274 watching. AJ Audits, brilliant work, AJ Audits. Keep going, mate. Evening, guys. The new media conference was brilliant. Ben Habib made an appearance and I got to speak to him. You two got a mention from me. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that, AJ. That's fantastic.
Just one sec, mate. There's something going on in my house. Either the dog's having a fit or I got a burglar. Hold on a minute. Which one is it? I know it's the dog having a fit. AJ Audits again. Let's have a look. Where are we? Nope, same one. Sorry. The Sheikh of Arabi, SUTR, Stand Up to Racism, are operated by the Communist Socialist Workers' Party. Yep, the group hate parliamentary democracy and want a Marxist dictatorship. Absolutely. They lost members in the R scandal. Google, Comrade Delta, SWP. Spot on.
Superb. Yep.
Couldn't have put it better myself. In fact, you did put it better than myself. Salmond, Sophie, thank you. Brilliant. Really appreciate that. I'm sure Richard does as well. I suspect that the majority of Stand Up to Racism, socialist workers, etc., have no interest in the asylum seekers any more than they do Gaza or the EU.
Yep.
They use the asylum seekers as a vehicle for their fascist ideology. And that is exactly right. They are the fascists. Jules again, Jewish and proud, but not with the MP in Claxon. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's so true. I tell you what, man. I mean, what about Tommy's interview with Dan?
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I mean, Tommy is. I mean, we've both interviewed him, Paul, right? I mean, it's easy for us because he's a mate, but as well as that, he's also the easiest person to interview, right? Because you just ask him one question, he talks for an hour.
Off he goes. Yeah.
That's him. He's like, But Dan was very good because Dan teased stuff out of him that I'd never heard before. Yeah. He got emotional, which I thought, and it was. I mean, Tommy is an emotional guy, but that's not weakness. That's because he's passionate and he loves his kids. He loves his wife. Let's be honest. He loves his family, and he gets emotional, right? And I like seeing that from Tommy. I like seeing that because it gives the human side to him. And anyone seeing him like that can't go, well, hold on, this guy isn't a far right fascist, And the fact that he keeps on having to say about, the fact that he grew up with loads of black kids and Asian kids, he doesn't have to say that anymore because at the end of the day, we all know, and it doesn't matter what the others think because they're not.
I thought he looked more settled yesterday.
He did, yeah.
I thought he looked more back to himself, not fully.
Yeah.
But I thought he's getting there. I thought he was far more measured. And I mean, he's always measured, but he wasn't so excitable. He was more relaxed.
He was, yeah.
I think
that was down to Dan as well. I think Dan's got that skill. He's got that sort of skill. But the biggest thing I got out of that, Paul, was his comments he made about the Dear Bandy. And I've done a video on it. If you want to go into, I think it's on it's on Counter Media. If you go into Counter Media, you'll see the video. Tommy highlighted the fact that in, I think 2016 or 2014, he met with an Anglican bishop who was mediating between the EDL and basically Muslim groups. And what they got the Dear Bandy, who are probably one of the most extreme sects of Islam there is, into a room with the EDL leadership to have some sort of sit down and see what common ground they had. Obviously, they didn't find any common ground, but this bishop did it. But the bishop said something very interesting that Tommy quoted. He said, basically, the Dear Bandy are going to take over the UK. And he said, and Tommy says, where'd you hear that from? And he says, MI5 and MI6. In other words, the deep state, the security services are preparing the way for an extremist Islamic takeover of the UK. And Paul, do you know something? That backs up exactly what Nigel Farage said when he was on the Winston Marshall show. Yeah. And he turned around and he said, we can't win this, right? Now, Tommy, quite rightly, has the right idea and says, why not? Why can't we win it? So I think that's chilling, but I also think it's a massive wake-up call. And it was a little tiny snippet. It's one of those things, Paul. It was a tiny little snippet, no more than a minute long in that whole 1 hour 43 interview. But that was the big thing, because I'd heard most of the other stuff before. Yeah. But I'd never heard that before. Now I knew that was going on, but I hadn't heard it from Tommy before. And I've been warning people about the Dear Bandy for many, many years. I mean, we're talking 2015 onwards. I've been talking about the Dear Bandy, and they are 42% of the mosques in the UK are Dear Bandy. There's one 10 minutes drive from my house, and that's what we're up against,
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss that. Chantel, thank you very much. Thank you both for all you do. Really appreciate that. Rebellious Jay, it's not a civil war if the enemy is imported. Leave that there. Good point, to be fair. Jay Marvel, UK. Love you guys. Paul, do you ever think you will live in the UK again? Hopefully that time comes where you feel you can. Do you know, it's a great point there. My wife's struggling, to be honest. You know, look, of course we will. Of course, 100%. But we want it to be safe. And I don't want to feel under threat.
Paul, we were talking before we came on air, and I'm not going to go into exactly what we said, but I think the position that we're all in now, being fairly high profile influencers, if you want to call it that, or political activists, or whatever you want to call us, right? We're all going to get nicked. They're coming for us. This new internet harms legislation, all of us will have slipped up at one point or another with our social media and said something or posted something that they can come and get us for, right? So we're all getting nicked.
It's just a matter of time, isn't it?
It's a matter of time. Now, you being in Spain is actually wise, because here's the thing, right? It's all right saying, why do you go to Spain? Well, Paul, I would rather have you in Spain and having a voice than have you in Brighton and then sitting in Wormwood Scrubs. Yeah? Because the reality is, you're no good to man the beast if you're in prison. We found that when Tommy was in prison, there was a massive vacuum that was filled by all sorts of poison and malevolence. Now he's out, there's a much more positive vibe. And that's another thing. We've got to find a way of keeping Tommy out of prison. But from your point of view, Paul, we cannot afford to lose you, because you've brought a lot of people to our movement that weren't in our movement. You've got a slightly different demographic. We've got all the street people, like me, all the people that get run over on a Friday night by maniacs, But there's got to be the other people that are sort of more leaning towards middle class that will vote. We've got to build a massive coalition. We're not going to win it with the working class. And there's a friend of mine who was involved in loyalism during the Troubles, and he said to me, he says, the only chance we ever had of winning was when we got the middle class on side. And he was talking about 1974. So the only chance that we had of winning was 1974, when the loyalist middle class, the teachers, the lawyers, the doctors, all came out against the Sunningdale Agreement. I think it was 1974. And he said, since then, we've had no chance, because it's been a working class thing. The working class alone cannot win this. Now, but the middle class alone can't win it either. So what we need is the patriotic.
We need together.
We need everyone. Now, this is where you're key, Paul, because what you've done is you've built connections, you've taken time, you've built an amazing little black book with some amazing people in it. I'll be honest with you, Paul. I don't think Advance UK will be happening in the way it is without you.
I appreciate that, Richard.
I mean that.
I'm not sure it's true,
and other people. David is another one. Obviously, Tommy coming on board, I think, is hopefully down to our joint influence of saying, look, this is the way to go. By the way, has Jack come back with UKIP? I haven't seen. Has Jack come back with any UKIP stuff?
I think he's going to vote UKIP.
Is he? But in all seriousness, that's why it's important for you to stay out of the way. And I wouldn't even come back for demos if I were you, Paul. I know that sounds radical, and I know you want to be there on the 13th, and I'm not saying that to be negative, but we cannot afford to have you getting grabbed, because if you've anything on social media that they want to go for you for, that's when they're going to do it. Yeah,
that's when they do it.
Yeah. So look, if people don't believe that, that's up to them. But we can't take those chances, I don't think. And it's like Calvin Robinson's the same. Father Calvin was getting death threats. He was getting threatened with arrest. He was very outspoken, very vocal. He's gone to the States, and people were slagging him off. And I sent him a text. I said, brother, I says, you're far better alive than dead. Yeah. And that's what we're looking at here. People don't understand the consequence. When you have a bit of a profile, I had a fella came up to me, Paul. When I was in Ballymena at that protest, this guy came up to me, and this is where all the poison that people put on the internet about people has to stop. This guy came up to me, right? Didn't know anything about me. Says, you, Paul Thorpe and Danny, you cowards. He was like, no, that's not a very good Northern Irish accent. That was more of a Cockney accent. But he came up with and I just went, who are you? I mean, I don't know who you are. coming up and calling me a coward. You know nothing about me. Oh, you ran away. I says, well, hold on. I'm in the middle of a demo now, filming it.
Yeah.
How'd they
Yeah.
run away, mate? You know, didn't even get into it with him because I just thought, you know, because you go so far with people, then they just start annoying you, and you know, it gets all leery.
Yeah.
But the point is, Paul, what the point I'm trying to make is that we need people in the game. We need Father Calvin. We need the Lawrence Foxes. We need you. We need Sargon. So if people have to do things in a slightly different way to achieve the same thing, then we've got to do it.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that 100%. I mean, look,
and we need Tommy out of prison. We don't need
absolutely,
Tommy out of prison.
of course,
we need to keep him out of prison. And
of course,
you know,
we do.
So,
all right, well, just as an example, Richard, yesterday, because I'm sure that some people think I'm out here laying on a sunbed all day. I spent nearly 7 hours on the phone yesterday.
Yeah, I know you did.
7 hours.
I know.
Anyway, look, listen, let's talking about doing things differently. No doubt you saw my video, my appeal to Donald Trump, which was a little bit tongue in cheek, but I'll tell you something, mate.
What's been going on? They love that.
What has been going on over the last 24, 48
Well, you've been on the phone to you've been on the phone to the Yanks, haven't you?
It's incredible.
You've been on the phone to the Yanks, you know. Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I tell you what I can. Let me tell you, what can I say and what can't I say? Okay, so I had someone on the phone from the American embassy that watched the video. They were overcome with emotion and empathy with the video. They promised me that the right people would see that. I think she meant the ambassador himself. And then today I got, where's my phone? I got a message I've had messages from all over America today. But there's one in particular that was interesting. There's one here, let me just get this up. Sorry. Okay, so I can absolutely guarantee you people that have watched my video are from Fox News, Newsmax, Patrick Bet-David, and a few other major anchors that this friend of mine in America knows. He's also, this is another topic, he's also friendly with Piers Morgan through a different reason. He's also sent it directly at Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan.
Yeah, Piers Morgan. And he sent me a picture that I'm dying to show you, but I just can't. But in this picture is President Trump. And I'll leave it at that.
Awesome.
And it's on my phone right here.
I've got to answer something that's of vital importance to someone in the chat. Just ask me a very, very personal question. What beer am I drinking? It's Birra Moretti, and it's very nice.
So the point is, the reason that I did that, and I tell you what I found most humbling and most pleasurable, is the support that we have had from American viewers.
Yeah. From
ordinary American people. It's been very humbling to see it. And they have got our backs. They know what's going on. And I believe that some very senior people in the United States administration now are well aware of what's going on. And I think that's important for our protection as well. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you, America.
I think, can I announce what's going to happen on the 13th, Paul?
You certainly can, Richard.
Well, if anyone's heard of the Screaming Eagles, the 101st Airborne Division will be para-dropping into the Parliament Square area, and then they'll be marching up. They'll be marching on the Parliament, occupying it until we appoint Tommy Robinson as Lord Protector of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland.
Oh dear, Richard, I do love a bit of sense of humour.
No, in all seriousness, Paul, I mean, like, I'm probably like, but I think the whole thing is an absolutely superb idea. And the support of America is phenomenal, because if you have people writing to their senators saying, what the heck is going on in the UK?
Yeah.
This is look, we are the cradle of democracy. You know, America are our younger cousins. They're stronger, they're fitter, they can run further, they've got more money, but they are our younger cousins, right? And look at the way Trump loves Britain.
Yeah.
Even though, look, if Starmer was from any other country, Trump would not have treated him. Now, he treated him with contempt, right? But he did it in a very nice way. Like if that was Zelensky, or do you remember the other fella he fell out with? I can't remember who it was, where he literally booted them out of the White House.
Yeah.
That's the way Trump would be treating Starmer. But out of respect for our nation and respect for our Queen, and the way Trump has been disrespected by the King, if we can call him that, by people like Lammy and Khan and all these absolute maggots, right, is disgusting. Now, there's things that Trump does that I don't agree with, right? But in the overall scheme of things, we need a Trump. We absolutely need a Donald Trump. And, you know, let's hope, Paul, that there is... The key with me is things like Google, which owns obviously the platform we're on tonight. Massive. If Trump says to Google, no matter what the Brits throw at you, i.e. the British government, I have your back, and I'll make sure that they can't prosecute you, they can't come after your revenue, and if they do, we will slap them with really, really serious consequences. Yeah, that's what we need, Paul. So, and the same problem is with X, obviously, with the fallout with Elon and all that sort of thing. But I'm sure there's still influence there. We need that First Amendment guarantee underwritten for the United Kingdom. That's what we need, so that when I say something a bit off on Twitter after having too many beer Morettis, or you know, we do something on a live stream. I mean, we've done hour upon hour of live stream. If you went through that with a tooth comb, you would be able to string things together and say, look, there we go, we've got them. They've said something that's a bit off and it's not true. I mean, Paul, you can get 2 years in prison for saying something that's not true on the internet now. Yeah. I mean,
Richard, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Let me just read a couple of these out. Best Black BB, a big shout out to CJ Audits, Northern Ireland, for great coverage today. Yeah, I watched a bit of that myself. Thanks, guys, for the chats. Advance UK all the way. I mean, I just want to say to all the audience, all the auditors out there, well done for getting your cameras out. Well done for being on the spot.
Totally.
Don't forget, and I'm going to be a bit of an old man now, don't forget that in doing what you're doing, you do, I know that content is key, but with that comes a sense of responsibility. So please remember that you do have responsibilities for yourself. But well done to everyone. I mean, the country is finally waking up, and I think that we got to celebrate that. British for first. They are socialists. They want to disturb and the destruction to take down the UK, and the government is funding it. Absolutely. Hazel, Paul, your video on Trumpy Trump was very moving and powerful. Thank you very much, Hazel. It was meant to be. That was obviously the aim of it, and I think it works. Look, Richard, I've got a couple of videos that I want to play. I think the first one, for the first time in a long time, I've actually had a bit of sympathy with the police after watching this video today. I want you to watch this. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but this is a very, very powerful video indeed. Let's have a look.
Getting our children, hurting our children, you let these people still come to the country. You barricade it off. You don't barricade the sea off, do you? They can't come in. It's disgraceful, mate. All of them, disgraceful. From here all the way down to that coast where I come across. It is wrong, at every level.
More security on the hotel than the borders.
It's absolutely disgusting.
The police have got nothing to say about it.
Trying to go tits like that. Look, I get sent a nickname from the forces doing that. It's disgraceful, every one of you. Who's got your arms crossed. Got no respect. You wear the British flag, gang badges all on your tops. It's supposed to be a force. I don't think so.
Embarrassing, isn't it, guys?
Now, I don't know how closely everyone watched that, but the reaction of the police there, every one of them, to a man and woman, at one stage had their head bowed. They looked utterly pissed off, utterly embarrassed, utterly fed up, and utterly ashamed. And for the first time in a long time, because I've got to admit, you know my feelings about the police. I'm desperate to support them, but they try your patience to the nth degree, right? But watching that there, I mean, should we? Do you think that was? Do we need to play that again, Richard, or was that enough?
No, that was enough. I mean, you know, I think the reality is, well, here's the thing, right? Let's take our friend, okay? Let's take Tommy, and we think about what he's just been charged with, right? Now, excuse me. What Tommy's been charged with, we're talking about these hate speech issues. If I was a police officer and my sergeant, if I was a you know, detective constable, and I was told to charge Tommy with these ridiculous offences, I would hand my badge in. I would actually hand my badge in on the spot and say, do you know what, guys, I'm out. I can't do this. Sorry. I can't prosecute a man that stood for our country, that is a patriot. He's never committed a hate crime. He's not hateful. I would just say, I'm not doing it. And I would just walk out the station. And I've done that on jobs before where I've walked out.
This is going to get, Richard, this is going to get very, very spicy in a minute. Very spicy.
Yeah.
But go on, because carry on what you were saying, because I've had this conversation myself.
Yeah.
With
I would
police officers.
I would go. I would walk out. I would walk out. And because you can't do something that's totally against everything you believe in. Sooner or later, you'll break and you won't be able to do it. Or you completely corrupt your psyche and your soul and your mental health by doing something that is totally against you, not against your will, but against what you really believe in.
What you really, your moral compass.
Yeah.
So when I said it's going to get spicy, I've got a question for you, Richard, and it's a really difficult one to ask, right? But watching that video again, to a man and woman, they all looked utterly ashamed. And they all looked like they wanted to say, you know what, you're right. We agree with you. And I said to a very good friend of mine the other day, who is a serving police officer, I said to him, look, I just couldn't do this job. I could not do it. My moral compass would not allow me to do the things that, you know. And I said to him, you know what? I'm waiting for the first copper to take off his badge, take off his hat, and stand with our people and go, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. But this is where it gets really spicy, and it's a really difficult question. There are a number of police officers in our police forces up and down the country who I believe their moral compass to what they believe in is stronger than ours.
Yeah.
What will happen when they are told to arrest their own? And I tell you now, Richard, I think they will be quicker to take that hat off and stand with their people than ours will. And this is what this is where this is the concern, Richard. We are in the grip of a sectarian situation here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We are in the grip. We are in the this is the start, but we are in a grip of a sectarian situation. And they can moan about us, they can call us what they like, they can come and arrest whoever they want to arrest for writing whatever on Facebook and Twitter. It ain't going to change a thing.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. And I mean, that's why we need this political solution. I think, you know, this is a very serious thing to say, and I say it very guardedly. I think some sort of conflict is inevitable. I thought we could vote our way out of it without conflict, but I think there will be a conflict. And what is going to define that conflict is who's in power. In other words, whose side the government comes down on. And that's why the political dimension that we're looking at is so important. Because once the policies are put in place that will go some way to making things better for the majority of British people, well, then the demographic that's adversely affected by that will kick off massively. Yeah. Now, if those policies aren't put in place, in other words, if we get another 4 years of a Labour government or a reform government that doesn't do the job, then the rest of the population will kick off massively, right? So it's which is the lesser of two evils, and that, I know that sounds very cold and very calculating, but I think about this stuff a lot, and I think that is now inevitable, that there will be some sort of conflict. Because
a tragic inevitability.
A tragic inevitability. I don't want it to happen. I've since 2017. Funny, Tommy mentioned it on. He wasn't talking about me. He was talking about somebody else, and I know the guy he was talking about. But he mentioned that when he was doing the English Defence League, loyalist people from Northern Ireland came to him and said, "Tommy, you don't want to go down the road we went down. Avoid it at all costs." And Tommy listened to that. And you tell the way Tommy's handled himself since that he does listen to people that give him good sound advice. And what the guy was saying is, you don't want a sectarian civil war in England like we had in Northern Ireland, except it'd be far worse in England. It'd be far worse. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that there's inevitability about that. I don't say that with any glee. I don't want that to happen, because I've seen what there is. I know what it's like to have to check under your car for a bomb every day, wait for someone to come and kick your door and shoot you. Most people that are in the security forces or involved in the conflict in one form or another in Northern Ireland know exactly what I'm talking about. Whether you're a policeman, a soldier, or a paramilitary on any side, people know what it's like to live like that. And it is not a nice way to live. Except if it happened in England, it would be a lot more sporadic, widespread, leaderless, and it would be very, very difficult for the security forces.
I've avoided this subject as much as I can, Richard, because someone on GB News earlier on said that he believes that there are people out there on the left and the right that actually want this.
Well, they're crazy.
And I've never been someone that wants any violence of any kind. But the problem that we're now facing, and this is the question that you have to ask yourself, is that when the majority of the population suddenly come to terms or come to realise that they can't comply their way out of this shit, what is their other option? What is the only option that they have left? And the only people to blame for this are the people on the left who have pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and they're still pushing now.
The left are evil. The left are evil, Paul. It's like we've got to get out of left and right, and it doesn't matter. No, it does matter whether you're left or right. And the left are evil, and it is a battle between good and evil. The far right are evil as well, incidentally, but the left are particularly insidious. And if you look at the body count, they killed far more people than any fascists or Nazis did. But I think on these issues, we've got to be very, very realistic and say, if it happens, it will be catastrophic for our nation. But it's a question of managing how it happens, I think, is the key, and making it sure it's as peaceful, if you like, as it can possibly be.
Well, look, I still have hope, Richard. I have hope that the authorities will come to terms with the fact that ultimately, the way this is going, they're going to have to pick a side. They're not going to be able to...
They've already done it. They've already picked a side, Paul.
Yeah.
And it's not ours. And what Tommy said on Dan Wotton's show, that was a monumental thing. Now, I knew that because I've been told by other people that was the case. But it was monumental to hear Tommy say it, that he'd had it from an Anglican bishop. So if the Anglican bishops know what side the security services have taken, and this goes back to the 90s and the 80s when they were working with the Mujahideen and then working with Islamists in the 90s and giving them safe haven in the UK. And I'm not talking about a paramilitary takeover by these people. They're going to try and do it through politics and through subtlety. But it's well underway. There's a man called Sam Solomon, and Sam, he was a Sharia judge I'm not going to say where. He was a Sharia judge, very senior Sharia judge in the Middle East, and he became a Christian, and he started teaching people about the dangers of Islam. And Sam knew it all. I mean, he was from one of these extremist sects, and he said, there is no moderate form of Islam. Let's forget about that. It doesn't exist. There are moderate Muslims. There are Muslims that Muslims in name only. Yeah, of course there are.
Of course,
but there's no moderate form of Islam. And Sam said that not as a bigoted, knuckle-dragging, tattooed, white thug, which is what Farage called us. No, Sam said it from a place of spending his life before he became a Christian studying Islamic theology, Islamic literature, and Islamic jurisprudence. So that's, we are in a very, very dangerous spot, right? And I don't want, the last thing I want is to go back to the dark days of the Troubles, except on a much bigger scale throughout England. I love England. I love Northern Ireland. I love the Republic of Ireland. I love Scotland and Wales. I love the British Isles. I love the people of the British Isles. And I think we've been completely betrayed by our elites for at least 30 years.
The years.
Probably 40 years of betrayal.
And even now, Richard, when you look at the wonderful people, I mean, I've been sat here all day watching the people back home.
Yeah.
And I just love our people so much. They're still trying. They're still trying their goddamn best.
Yep.
To keep it sane, to keep it calm, to keep it respectful. Mate, there are not many other nations on earth that will behave in this way.
But let's also mention the people from the Muslim backgrounds. I had Shohab on the channel last week. Lubna came on and was chatting in the comments.
Yes.
Now, both of those people, right? I take my hat off to them, right? Because they know the risks they're taking. And I don't talk about them a lot. And do you know the reason I don't talk about Lubna and Shohab a lot, despite the massive respect I have for them? Because of I'm deemed as a
you don't want to highlight them.
Tommy Robinson, lieutenant, whatever they call me. I don't want to highlight them and put their names in the frame because of who I am, right? So that's the only reason. I have so much respect for those two guys. And Lubna did a video, and I couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, she did a video yesterday, I think it was, and she's got some guts, like, and she called it "Muslims everywhere." Muslims are everywhere, and I thought, like, where's she going with this? And she was just being straight. She says, "I've basically had to flee from the Muslim community, and everywhere I go, there's Muslims. There's Muslim policemen, there's Muslim doctors, there's Muslim school teachers." She said, "There's no way there's only 6% of the population are Muslim." Which we all know. But and listen, Lubna was brilliant. She navigated a very fine line between not, and she's never condemned Islam. Even now, she's never said anything evil, said anything bad about Islam. And I think the way she's been treated is disgusting, and she's paranoid. She doesn't know who to trust. And Shohab very much, has been through the same sort of experience. Great people. And I think what we've got to do, Paul, when the very, very few people like them that have the guts to stand up and say this is wrong, and we're not standing with the problematic elements of our community, and we're standing against that, when they come, we need to do everything we can to protect them. And again, we've managed to put Shohab in touch with a very, very good lawyer who's helping him massively. And again, I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, but really, really helping him. And again, Lubna, the same offer goes out. If we can help you in any way, you don't have to trust us. And I don't blame you not trusting anyone. We all get the breakdown of trust. But if you need help, we'll do whatever we can to help you. I think that offer's got to be out there to people like that, Paul, that are so genuinely in need and are doing the right thing, just for doing the right thing, Paul.
I'm worried, Richard. I'm really worried because look, over the years I've known so many good people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah, me too.
And I just don't know where this is going to end. It's just such a mess. The Sheikh of, let me just read these out. The Sheikh of Araby, I recall the Archbishop of Canterbury about 15 years ago saying the UK would have to adopt Sharia law.
That's right.
A minor stink at the time. Paul O'Keefe in USA, thank you very much for that. Best Black, Richard, I do hope you're not feeling too flat tonight or suffering flat feet.
Luckily, my feet didn't get run over. It was my back and my shoulders, but there we go. But thanks for that. Thanks for that, Best. Appreciate
Rebellious Jay, cheers, mate. I was with Nigel at the start, but I'm drawing to Advance UK. But unfortunately, Nick Tenconi speaks with such passion and fury I like a lot. Look, I agree, but talking with passion and fury is one thing. We can all do that.
Yeah.
But we need a realistic and credible political opportunity, and as Tommy said, Advance UK, in my opinion, is the way to go. Philip, thank you, Philip. Paul and Richard, keep up the great work, fellas.
Yep,
Rebellious
thank you.
J again. 2029 is too far away. Nick and Tommy have the spine tingling fury and passion. So one of them will spark a revolution way before 2029. Bookmark it. Look, you need people with all different approaches. Sharon, the wonderful Sharon, thank you, Sharon. Richard is actually right as usual. Stay where you are. Don't risk getting arrested when you get to the country. Thank you, Sharon. I really appreciate that. Look, it's one that I'm wrestling with massively at the moment. Sufferfish, police oath without fear or favour. Well, there's been plenty of both of them, hasn't there?
Isn't it just?
Let's get on to the second video. This is actually a mind boggler. I know it's late tonight, guys. I know it's gone midnight at home, but there are nearly 2,700 people watching. This next video, I don't know if you've seen this, but this is bonkers. Let's have a little look at this. Here we go.
Tonight, I noticed there was a whole batch. Yeah, hang on. I have to go back because there's someone coming. There was a whole batch of dinghies in the little area near the crane in the boatyard. Loads of them, all numbered. You'll have just seen that clip, hopefully. And I thought, okay, tomorrow the lorry's probably going to come. And guess what? There it is. So I'm going to go over there and just see if it's the same truck. Alright, today we're going to try and follow it. There it is. The lorry is leaving. But that is the lorry.
Right, so before we go any further with this video, Richard, right, where would most reasonable people think that those boats are now being taken? My guess would be to the incinerator.
You would hope so, Paul. You would hope so. Well, actually, they could be coming across the Northern Ireland for next year's bonfires.
Well, let's have a look.
With all the dinghies on it. And if my idea is correct, that lorry is going to France. That's the lorry. Okay, so I'm going to prove it. Right, so that is getting on a ferry. Where to? That's the question, look. Okay, can you see the number plate? Ah, come on. RX68 YKA. All right, that's it. Boom. Okay, I'm inside. I saw the lorry. It was just the other side of that fence. I'm now going to drive round. Now, what is it doing? Hiding there. There it is. There it is. RX68. There's a driver in it, so he's going to see me doing this. And I don't care. There's the number plate. RX68 YKA. This lorry is getting on a ferry. So the dinghies come into Dover, they get loaded onto a truck, they go back to France.
Wow.
That is incredible.
Wow.
Incredible. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've always had trouble with conspiracy theories. But boy, oh boy, oh boy. What the hell are those boats doing going back to France? And if they're the property of illegal gangs, as we're told, who could they possibly be being delivered back to? The French government? The French Navy SEALs probably haven't got a lot of use for them. I don't suppose they're very good as fishing boats. There's only one group of people that I can think of that would have a use and a financial interest in those boats, in those cheap Chinese, Turkish-made, whatever they are, ribs. I think they're probably Turkish, actually. Not worth the paper that they're made from, really. But why would they be going back to France? Now, look, I will add a caveat to that. I can't verify the authenticity of that video. You know, it could be bloody AI for all I know, but it's not. It's clearly not AI, right?
Yeah.
But it could be just some clever dick. But I don't think so. I really don't. But that is mind-boggling.
I'm not surprised, Paul. Nothing shocks me anymore. You know, you look at, I mean, this whole hotel thing is a racket. The HMOs are a racket. There's people making millions and millions of pounds.
Millions, yeah,
you know,
millions.
And it's, to be honest with you, I don't give two hoots about the people that are coming across. Yeah, I just don't want them here. I'm not interested in their welfare. I don't care about them. But what I do care about is British taxpayers, pensioners, veterans, people like Lubna and Shoaib, who are going to be more at threat the more bad actors come into this country with bad ideas and bad agendas. That's who I care about. You know, our kids, our grandkids. I don't give two hoots about these people coming across on boats. I want them all gone. I want them all packed up. None of them are asylum seekers. If you come to this country illegally, you are not an asylum seeker. You need to go. And that's what needs to happen.
Richard, do you know what, mate? Some people won't like me for saying this, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not even that bothered about our men at home. Our men can take care of themselves. I'm worried about our women and the children.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the bottom line. Unless they're elderly, the boys are quite capable of looking after themselves.
Well, unless they're like that little lad that was about to join the Marine and got shanked by a flipping Afghan.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, you know, listen, if it all kicks off, there's going to be a lot of our lads getting butchered and murdered by these people.
No, don't even think about it.
But that's what we're looking at, Paul, you know.
Mark Smith, thank you, Mark. Seems like whoever is in power in the UK is just going to bow down to whoever is pulling the strings. AJ Aldrich, cheers, mate. They couldn't get Tommy on GBH charges, so they're doing everything they can to do to silence him. This is all Starmer's doing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back to the regular chat as well for you guys. The Sheikh of Araby, no German cops resigned in 1933 when the Nazis took over.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there was plenty that were opposed to them. Revolution by the people, for the people, Rebellious J. We better add a caveat to that, a peaceful one, mate. Gerald Armstrong, thank you. Great show, guys. American who's going to grad school in Scotland next year. Is there anything I can do when I get there? Oh, great question. I think just spread the word. Gibby, great speech, Paul. You're the tops. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Right, no more supers tonight, guys. Thank you, because I want to get back into the regular chat. I've got messages piling left, right, and centre here. Let's have a quick look at the regular chat. We've got well over 2,000 messages in the regular chat. Sorry, I've not been able to get through to them. Groucho Marx, M.A. Jules, I'm a Christian and love Richard's Sunday chat. I never said anything derogatory, but Claire Bear took it upon herself to ban me. Not sure why. Might have been a mistake. I don't know. You'll have to sort that one out.
We'll get Claire can have a look at that. I mean, she's the boss. I don't tell Claire what to do, but if we'll have a look at that, Groucho, because obviously, you know, if you're not saying anything derogatory, by all means, you're welcome back in. But if Claire Bear bans you, she's the gaffer, not me.
Yeah. Oh, we don't argue with Claire. She's
our boss.
CH Aldrich in Northern Ireland. Yeah, thank you, mate. Lovely to see you in the chat. Brilliant. Right, Richard, we've been on for 1 hour and 10. I don't want to bore everyone to death. It's been a very busy, very, very busy weekend, and it's not over yet. What I can tell you is that tomorrow, close to where I used to live, in Copthorne, which is just outside of a town called East Grinstead, a very, very leafy Sussex suburb. There's been a migrant hotel there now for a couple of years at least, and they are now demonstrating outside that hotel.
Brilliant.
And let me tell you something, Richard, that is about as middle to upper class an area as you could wish for, in the respect
Yeah.
that all the local residents, you know, they've all got good jobs. Many of them work at Gatwick, etc. You know, everyone's had enough of it, mate. They are up to here, and they're drowning.
Yeah,
they're drowning.
No, I mean this is the problem, Paul. I mean, this is going to lose Labour the next election. This and whatever Jeremy Corbyn's doing, they're going to lose the next election horrendously. But the question is, what's going to come after them? And you know, I heard Dan and Tommy talking about proportional representation. I don't agree with PR, because what you get a baked-in progressive lefty bias in politics. Look at the trouble Geert Wilders had in forming a government, and he's still not fully there yet. I don't think he's still got to go to the country again.
I used to be a PR fan, but I'm not so sure anymore.
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we've got to work with what we've got, and I think, look, I mean, politics isn't the only answer either. I mean, there's the spiritual thing, there's a cultural thing, you know. So politics is one part of the whole thing. But my goodness, we need to have a massive push for advance over the next 4 years. And look, puts a lot of responsibility on Ben. Ben's, you know, stood up, great, but now he's got to get everything right. There's no room for error, you know. So we've got to have the right policies in place. We've got to have a plan for dealing with the civil service, and we've got to have a battle plan for the election where you've got loads of. We're going to have party groups right the way up and down the country. You can't do it without the you know, the membership on the ground being active and doing what needs to be done. So
absolutely, we've got a big task ahead of us, but we're working hard to get there. But right now, as it says at the bottom of that page, please join Advance UK today.
Massively important.
www.advanceuk.org.uk. We are reaching that magic figure of 30,000 members, and then we are up and running.
I want to suggest, before we close, Paul, and I do this a lot, but I'm going to do it again. This is what I suggest everybody does. Start supporting Unite the Kingdom. Get down to London on the 13th of September. If you can financially support them, financially support Urban Scoop. Just Google Urban Scoop, you'll find their website. Because I know, I was talking to Tommy's right-hand man this morning, and he was saying they are in this for some serious amount of money.
Yeah.
And and they're doing it like this because they want the people to have a professional concert feel atmosphere. And there's many as a person, Paul, would spend 50 quid more, 100 quid a week going to football by the time they're paid, you know, everything they're going to pay in a day, right? So, you know, support Tommy, give whatever you can to Tommy or his team to get this event to the standard it needs to be at, right? So I think that's the first thing. Support Unite the Kingdom, get to Unite the Kingdom.
I reckon that September the 13th, I reckon it's going to cost them 200 grand.
That's what costings have got, mate. That like, you know, I know the setup, right? And I know how difficult it is to do that, to keep everything secure, to keep all the feeds going. It's extremely difficult. What they're doing
is that figure far out, do you think?
No, it's a pretty much bang on. It's pretty, including that, you wouldn't be talking. You'd be talking not a kick in the backside of, from what I know, right?
Yeah.
And you know, so you know, it might come in a bit cheaper. Depends, because if it's cheaper, it just means it's going to be less. It's going to be less good. You know, you're going to lose quality here and there. You know, you need the same quality that we had in Trafalgar Square, but it needs to be a lot bigger because there's going to be more people there, and it's going to be in a different.
What do you think numbers, Richard? What's your hope for numbers for the 13th?
You see, I'm realistic about numbers. I think we had 100,000 in Trafalgar Square, right? I think we had that many in Trafalgar Square. The police say it doesn't hold that many, but I think we did because all the side roads were full and there was people coming and going and going to the pubs and coming back, right? So that's what I'm kind of guessing. I think Parliament Square, we had 40,000, 50,000 max. I think the other two demos, probably 30, 40,000, somewhere along those. I could be wrong, but that's my guesstimate, because you take the square meterage and you just work out how many people are actually in the, you know, standing in a square meter, and it's a rough estimate, right? So it's not an exact science, but it gives you an idea. So so I'd say if we had 150 to 200,000, that would be a massive result. That would be an absolutely massive result, right?
I think you're going to be surprised.
I don't. I just know. I know the way it works, and That would be enough, though. If we had 200,000 people there, that would be enough, Paul. That's massive. In the area that we got, it's massive.
What we got now is not only have you got the UTK, United Kingdom movement,
Yeah,
but you've also got this nationwide stop the boats. And it's the same thing.
Of course it is.
It's the same thing.
Of course it is. Of course
We're all fighting for the same thing. We're all fighting for what's right.
I agree. But if you look at those demos, Paul, up and down the country, they're not getting tens of thousands of people.
No.
You know, if you think about a football match, you go to a Sunderland Middlesbrough match, you know, working class clubs, they're getting thousands at those grounds every single. We still don't have that breakthrough where we've got everybody saying, do you know what? We need to get to this, right? And that's what we need. And that's where the brainwashing and the nonsense from the left needs to be broken. So there's a big job to do.
I'll tell you what, you won't find a bigger football fan than me, right? But
yeah,
at the end of the day, I'm getting a bit tired of this. You know, like you say, if there was a Sunderland Newcastle match or, you know, Tottenham Arsenal, you know, come on, lads.
I don't care about it.
Sod the football one day. One day.
Exactly.
Sod the football.
I'm not interested. I mean, at the end of the day, get to the demo. Yeah. You know, it's one day. Just get there. Just make sure you're there. And again, I'm not saying that to you, Paul, because you got a different, and other people have different circumstances as well that make it so that they can't go. So if you can't go for a genuine circumstance, look, you know.
One thing I've made my mind up, Richard, and I'll reveal this now. Whilst I might as well say this, if I can't come back for the 13th, that will be one man less there that there should be.
Yep.
What I will do is I will pay for 20 to go.
Yep.
So me not being there will mean that 19 more people are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, like I say, Paul, I mean, you don't owe anyone anything or any explanations. You know, you don't, you know, I know what you do, Paul. I know what you've put together, right? And I know the people that you've reached out to and got together. And that is invaluable. And I know you'll keep doing that. So, you know, everyone has a different task, you know.
Not giving up, mate. I'm not giving up.
No, I'm not either. But it doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't mean, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like I said, I did say, like I've always said this, if anyone's looking for a suicide pilot, I'm the wrong man.
Yeah, you know? yeah. Well,
I'm not a kamikaze pilot.
Well, I am, unfortunately, but that's just that's just in my makeup, you know what I mean? But the other thing is, I mean, let's look at what people can do. So yeah, get to the 13th if you can. If you can't, I get that, right? Because I've had all sorts of things in my personal life that made it very difficult for me to travel, right? I'm not going to go into it. But the other thing is, everybody can do this. Register to vote.
Yeah.
That is the most. Whether you vote for the parties that we support, whether you vote UKIP, Reform, Advance, SDP, right? DUP, TUV, whatever. But register to vote. It's so important that you get your name on that electoral register and then vote.
Yeah.
Right? Don't complain that you got the wrong government. We've got a crappy Labour government because not enough people voted for parties that were on the right. So, you know, we've got the lowest majority in terms of vote, and they've got one of the highest majority seat tallies, you know, in history. It's ridiculous. So if people get all that, I see when I see someone in the comments saying I'm not going to vote. I get it. I understand. You've seen Brexit, then the letdown. You've seen the general elections, but we genuinely have something new here. Now, that puts it back onto Advance. Advance have to come up with the goods, right? They have to do the right thing, and they have to make sure that the policies that they get work. So that brings me on to the next point. The next point is join Advance and start getting involved politically. This is genuinely a people's party. Is it going to be perfect? No, but it's going to be as near to getting the solutions as anybody else can, right? And it's going to have some very bright people in it doing some very, very clever things. And then, two more things. Sign the pledge. The pledge is still very important. If we don't have the pledge, we've got a problem, because the pledge is the ideology behind what we do. And then finally, start going to church. And you can come to the little Bible study we have on a Sunday night. That's always a good start. We've got about 600 people coming on that every Sunday night. But you know, those are the things that we can do. We can all do those things. We're not asking people to go on the streets, even, Paul. We can all go. We can all go to the demo on the 13th. Well, not all of us, but most people go to the demo on the 13th. We can all register to vote. We can all vote. We can all join Advance. We can all sign the pledge, and we can all go to church. And if you did that, you would do a massive amount of good in a way of saving your country. Now, obviously, finding a good church is another problem. You don't want to go to church with some pink-haired, transsexual vicar. But anyway.
I'll tell you what, Richard. We're finished on a high, right?
That was my high, mate. That was my.
If anyone out there is feeling depressed tonight, every day that goes by is a day closer to saying goodbye forever to Labour, to Keir Starmer, to Rachel Reeves. Did you see her yesterday with her gear on?
Oh, mate. Tommy did a bit on it on Dan Wotton, and it was just hilarious.
It's just sickening, isn't it? We can wave goodbye to the Ginger Growler. We can wave goodbye to all of them, right? Forever. They're never coming back. We've learnt our lesson. The nation has learnt their lesson. They are going to get the biggest political kicking that any political party has ever had in their goddamn sorry lives.
Yeah.
And every day that goes by, we are a day closer to it. But
I want them in prison. Starting with Nick Lowles, I want them all in prison.
Oh, I'm not going to argue with you, mate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with you. But even better news, Rich, we got a new outro. Well, it's the same as the intro. But if you missed the intro, and a little reminder that tomorrow night, I believe that it will be me and Danny on tomorrow night for something a little bit more light-hearted. Our Sunday evening.
Don't clash with my Sunday now, Paul. Make sure you're off the day.
What time are you on, Richard?
Well, it depends on what time you finished. And I think probably about 10 o'clock. I'll go 10, maybe it's 10:30 or something like that.
Well, if you let me know tomorrow, I'll make sure. I'll make sure. Was that UK time?
Yeah.
10 o'clock UK time is 11 o'clock my time, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll sort it out.
Yeah.
So we'll be on tomorrow night, Richard, and we'll be on. I will be on, hopefully, with Danny, as long as he's recovered from whatever Danny does. I don't know what he's been up to, but he's bound to have been up to something. It is 1:22 a.m. here, just outside Benidorm. Guess where I'm going?
The pool?
McDonald's.
You got McDonald's?
Yeah. God bless everyone. Look after
yourselves. Take it easy.
Have a great weekend. See you later, guys.